would make sense that you would need a different stream key each time. But it looks like it works. There we are. Perfect. And yeah, just say hi in the chat if you can hear us. Say hi if you can hear us. Looks like there's a few people here.
Okay. What do we have here? So I can't actually see like the people.
All I can see is like concurrent viewers. It just tells us who. Oh, there we go. We got Matt Durr.
Okay, so I guess I only see people if they chat in.
Yeah, same here. Theory, is that how you say it? We got Chris. Oh, Chris is a watcher and commenter from many streams. Nice. All right, well
It's fun doing it live.
I like it. I still would like the open source version of this, but it's Terry. Sorry about that, Terry. I'd still like the open source version of this, but where it pops up in Pocket Casts as a live audio stream and people can comment there too, but I'll take YouTube. Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, that'll cost them like car crashes, I think.
Yeah, people just be chatting with Siri. They'll be like, they'll say, yeah.
Like, hey, Justin, I wanted to respond to like, hey, you motherfucker, come out. At least that's probably how I would respond. But.
But if there was a seamless way to do that, like just be able to, like in the Tesla, you can activate voice, right? So
yeah, and I think I've used it once.
Oh, really? I use it all the time.
I just don't do voice. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Probably should because it is hard to like use the screen while I'm driving.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us in chat, folks. I think we got some good topics here. I'll do the intro and we'll get into it, but feel free to let us know what you think while we're chatting, and we'll try to shout you out if there's something notable we should address. Let's do it. Welcome to the panel. Oh, what do I usually say here?
What are we doing here?
We're smart founders. Welcome to the panel, where two bootstrapped founders talk about building a better business and a better life. I'm Justin Jackson, the co-founder of Transistor.fm.
I'm Brian Casel, and I just launched buildermethods.com.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's like a spoiler right there, because that's what we're going to be chatting about today.
Well, I released the name and the domain last week, and today I finally have an actual website on the domain. So.
All right. So let's get into that.
Starting of a website.
We just hit record, so I want to just shout out some people in chat. We got Matt, Terry, Chris, Ryan, Zach. I think that's everybody so far. If you're in the chat, say hello. We're trying to record these live whenever we can. So if you're not on our mailing list, go to panelpodcast.com, get on our mailing list, and I'll let you know when.
Yeah, a little programming note. So we'll hang today, and then I'll be out next week. We're doing a little road trip summer vacation thing, and then I don't know. We'll see how frequently we want to do it in the summer.
Yeah, maybe we should. I'll be around, I think.
Nothing really changes for me, to be honest, except for like a trip here and there. But
yeah. All right, so let's get into. Last week we talked about this new thing you wanted to launch called buildermethods.com. Why don't you just kind of give us the overview of what it is? I'll share it here on screen for folks who are watching live.
We did talk a lot about it last week. I don't want to just repeat everything, but the more that I work on it, and especially now that I have like an actual website, like I always find that the exercise of designing the website and writing V1 of the copy and the offerings that you see on the website, like that always helps me really dial in, like, what is it that I'm actually building here?
Yeah.
And so what you currently see there is at the very top, it's a newsletter. Like I'm promoting it as like this is the key, I think, to this business is like grow the email list. So
yeah, completely agree.
The whole hero section on this website is like get on what I'm calling the builder briefing. It's going to be it. I am going to do a weekly newsletter. We talked about it being monthly. We can talk more about that. And then, you know, below that, I've got sort of like a letter from me and sort of like my stating why I think this is important.
Yeah.
Below that, I'm promoting courses, and these obviously don't exist yet. They're sort of just little ideas for 4 potential. I'm thinking of them as like mini courses or like just-in-time learning courses. They will be paid. These would be paid products. I don't even know which of these I'll end up even building, but these are my 4 ideas right now. And then below that are coaching offerings, and I actually am offering these like now. So I'm actively working with a team on some building with AI coaching. I'm talking to another team about that, and then the very bottom one is like I'm just sort of like teasing that there might be like a live cohort program sometime in the future. So
sweet. Well, as always, this looks great. One question I have for folks in chat is, how many AI dev newsletters are you already subscribed to, if any? So are you subscribed to any AI dev?
The one that I am subscribed to and I really enjoy is Ben's Bites. I don't know if you've seen that.
Okay. I haven't heard of it. Oh, is this
the guy who did MakerPad?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think he sold that a few years ago, and now he's just been all in on the AI thing. Not exactly this. Like his is more just like all things AI tooling, and it is really good. There's always like just a list of interesting news items that I wouldn't really catch elsewhere. So
yeah. So what made you want to do this weekly instead of monthly?
I think it does make more sense. I actually started to design and build a new app that's going to help me assemble the weekly newsletter. It's like a newsletter builder app.
Sorry, you're building this yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
not the send. Like I'm going to use Kit for sending.
Okay.
But the work of writing and creating the weekly newsletter, that needs to have my voice and my ideas, but it also needs to be automated.
Okay.
And so
what does that look like? Like what?
Okay, so my idea for this, like in theory, the goal is for me to, it's actually going to follow a similar format to Ben's Bites. And I think a lot of these weekly newsletters have a very similar format where it's like a personal message at the top, a couple paragraphs, followed by maybe 3 different sections. And each section is like a headline and a couple of bullet points with like links of like, here's a news item and my take on it, news item and my take on it, new tool you might want to check out and my take on it. So that might be like one section. Then like the next section might be, here's my like tip of the week or workflow idea of the week, right? And so all of it is for like, you know, people who are like professionals who are building with AI, and why you need to pay attention to this new development that just dropped from Claude Code, or that new technique that I saw somebody talk about, you know. So in order to be the biggest challenge with this whole business is like, how do I have the time and the bandwidth to create and produce? Because this is a content business. This is like a media brand, educational brand business. So
yeah,
the big challenge is like, how do I have systems in place to execute this on a week to week basis, right? And so my thought is to have an AI powered app, which I'll be building it, that like it'll start with a bunch of sources. I'll have a bunch of like RSS feeds and Twitter feeds and YouTube channels and product change logs from all the popular tools, and like, so this is just going to consume that fire hose of new content, and I'm going to have some criteria for like scoring the potential content items for like if it's a good fit for my newsletter.
Yeah,
and the AI will draft a like what my take should be on each thing, or like why it's important to my audience, and I'm going to sort of program in who my audience is and what I want this to be about. And then I'll go in and sort of like approve like the top 3 candidates for each item, and I'll finalize the copy and what I actually want to say. And then like the message at the top would be like straight from me, like my actual right. So the goal is like every week, all I really need to do is like kind of review the draft that AI put together for me, click a few buttons, approve a few items, tweak some copy, write the personal message. It's done.
Yeah. Okay. I've got 2 threads here because that sounds like a cool project. I've got thoughts on that. And then I think in terms of content, what's interesting in the chat here, I just got people to list what newsletters they're already in. And one thing Zach was saying is that one of the newsletters he doesn't enjoy anymore just got really generic and unhelpful. I think that's the risk with a project like this.
Yep.
So when people just end up skimming it and not actually reading anything, those are his words. So if it's just kind of a general newsletter about the industry, not as interesting. He likes Ben's newsletter, Ben's Bites, because it's actually like projects and tutorials, it sounds like. So
yeah,
there's like always like
Ben's
something.
Bites is the one that it's sort of like the model that I have in mind
Yeah.
for this. And mine would be angled more for like people who are like, builders of software,
Yeah. I have noticed that like what makes a good newsletter, I think what makes a good newsletter is a good topic. And one that I've enjoyed that I've mentioned before is this Tangle newsletter, which is a nonpartisan politics newsletter that always examines stuff from the left and the right and then their take. But I think what makes it a good newsletter is it has sections. So there's like quick hits. And so if I just have time for quick hits, I'll just read that. But then it's like today's topic, that's going to be the meaty topic. And in this case, he's summarizing this topic and then what's the right saying. And then you get 3 more bullet points, but then you can actually read the summaries here. What's the left saying? 3 more bullet points. Yeah. And then at the end, his take. And I think this format works really well. And I think a lot of other folks could use something similar.
Yeah,
which is
that. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's just in terms of like some of those pieces, I think quick hits is obviously something that people like. And then, here's a story or here's an idea, here's an idea. I really love the idea of having like Brian's take at the end or anybody's, like if you're the newsletter writer, it's like having a section at the end. I almost always scroll to the end just to see Isaac's take.
I think that like my take is going to be on every item.
Yeah.
And like, this is not a new format. Like newsletters have been formatted like the one that you just showed. They're having multiple sections with bullet points and like commentary on each bullet point.
Yeah.
That's been around for years. And there have been like actual SaaS products that do this. I think one was called like Curated, I want to say.
Yes.
A few, but
yeah, Heaton Shaw was using one for his.
Yes, his is another that I do read quite often.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he has a team helping him with that, but like it's good quality. He picks a couple links and it's like his take on it. Aaron Francis's newsletter. I actually just recently joined that. I don't know how I wasn't on it earlier.
Yeah, it's very good.
But he does a really great job of just finding random tweets and talk and like his take on it, his response. But I really think that the key to making this good is like not just like a random list of links that that I didn't even read or approve. Like the system here has to be, we have like my AI tool is going to be monitoring this fire hose of like different sources of potential candidates for the newsletter.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a literal like scoring system. Like, I don't know, like does this actually help professional builders, or like is this something, I don't know, like
yeah,
there's just gonna be a lot of factors that are like built into it that like meet the criteria for what I want to share. And then it's gonna be like every link has to have a sentence or two take from me, and the AI can learn and be trained on my voice. So it should like draft that for me. So every week I just need to go in and like finalize it, you know?
Yes. I think that software idea is really interesting. Now you're right. There's been a bunch of these over the years. Curated is the one that we were just talking about. But your take is interesting because to have something that was like, you know, consuming fire hoses of, you know, RSS feeds and things like Hacker News and whatever RSS feeds you subscribe to and Twitter and etc. But then to have a scoring mechanism where it's actually like surfacing stuff for you, and then to be able to just
that it'll also feed my own YouTube channel and maybe my Twitter feed too. So like it'll promote like a random YouTube video, but also like the more issues that we produce, that's more training material for the system.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I always felt like Mail Brew was a bit of a missed opportunity.
That's another one. Yeah.
Because I think they kind of left this, like they had some other software that took off. And maybe the pool of these is just too, like the pool of potential customers is too small. But I just mentioned this on Blue Sky like a month or so back, like, I really wish I had something like Mail Brew that could just send me like, here's all the things I posted on Blue Sky. Here's a bunch of other like top stories from Hacker News and so I kind of got it set up in Mail Brew, but it doesn't score it. And having a direct integration with ConvertKit, I think would be super cool. And now ConvertKit,
or at the very least, just export it out as Markdown or HTML. I could pop it into Kit, but I do want to integrate it into Kit. I mean, I've already started to like architect this with Claude Code, and like I should have it in a week. You know,
are you like sharing that live? Is that one of the live building projects?
That'll be a thing. Like right now, I'm in the planning phase for this, but like that's the thing. Like to do a weekly newsletter that meets a quality standard that I would want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't do it manually. I've tried to do exactly what you talked about, like in the past with my own newsletter. Like, I want to highlight my tweets from this week or write a whole article this week. And like, I've never been able to keep up with that. I would do it for a few weeks and then I would just get way too busy. And for this, I do think having a weekly newsletter is important for this business.
Yeah.
But also doing the YouTube content every week is really important. That takes up most of my time. Building stuff is also a big part of it.
Yeah.
So there's no way that I could manually curate and write and assemble this manually myself every single week.
Yeah.
And I'm not really, I don't want to just hire someone on day one here to do it, you know? So
yeah. I think if you can automate, well, it feels like people in chat have already said, like, there's certain things they're looking for in a newsletter or certain things that stand out or certain formats that really work. We mentioned Aaron Francis's newsletter. That's his right there. And, you know, tweets, like interesting tweets or interesting sections from long form articles. I think this is just.
Let me pull up Ben's Bites.
Already compelling. I mean, it helps when like Aaron's somebody that people care about his taste, and so they want to hear what he has to say. And then this is Heaton's that he's been doing for quite a while.
Let's see if I can put this in here. How do I share my screen on this?
I think you can just pull it up on there's a share button right there.
Here we go. You see that?
Yeah.
So this is the latest Ben's Bites. This one had a video. He doesn't always have a video at the top. So like that's like his personal message at the top, and then he's got like what's trending, you know, a couple bullet points. And these are like news items, but it's like his take on the news, right? And then top tools. So this is just tools. This is like new tools that I've never heard of before. So it's like links, and what I'll do is like I'll just like scan this, and I'll usually find like one, maybe two that are interesting to me, and like I'll click over and check them out, you know. And like around the web, and like that's basically it, you know.
I'm curious what people think about video in email. Because part of me was thinking, man, that would be a good format for you to have like your weekly video tutorial or video tip. But do people like that, or do they like it to be all text? Yeah, I'm trying to think, because I often include videos in newsletters, but I don't know if people like it. Like maybe that's
I do. I put videos, just like thumbnails that link to the video.
yeah.
Like I do that. I do that quite a bit on like Clarity Flow emails to promote a new feature because we usually have a video for it. It just depends on the use case,
Because for me, part of the attraction of this Builder Methods newsletter is that there's just all of these kind of there's all of these things where the consumer, the reader, the developer, or the builder is like trying to pull information to themselves. Like they're like, okay, I know I need to figure some stuff out. And if there was like a 5-minute tutorial on like, okay, here today, if you do nothing else, like watch this video and you'll get up to date on this one piece of building with AI. And that feels approachable and, bite-sized, but maybe people would prefer to just if they're not in that mode, like maybe they're not reading it at their computer and they're like, no, just like give me an overview of things I can try when I get back to my computer.
Yeah, the positioning that I have on the homepage with the help of some AI copywriting is it's the builder briefing. It's your 5-minute Friday email that cuts through the hype. And the idea is that it should be scannable, but I also wanted to have like a personal message for me because like, every single week there's something that's like at the top of my mind. Like, this is what I'm really think is important this week, and I just need like 2 paragraphs on that, and then the bullet points, But like the newsletter is really just like one thing. Like this whole business is not the newsletter. It's just that's like the pulse, that and the YouTube channel, and then once I have so in terms of like getting this business off the ground, right? Like step 1 was get this website launched, and it's there's a lot of holes in it that needs to be plugged up.
Like does this email thing work yet?
It does. I have it integrated with. I do have it integrated with Kit. So as you can see, I don't have a thank you page yet.
Got it.
But I do have a Kit integration, which came through my instrumental component. That this is a component. So every one of these forms. So that top one, and then if you scroll down to the courses, go up. Yeah. So each of these little. So, those all get you onto the list in Kit, but I'm going to tag you based on like which thing you subscribed for,
Yeah, got it.
And little like technical thing, that thing that you just ran into, something went wrong.
Yeah.
That is the Cloudflare turnstile failing.
Oh, okay.
And so this is something that I've had problems with for years. If anybody listening, like I can't just have these forms exposed with no spam protection. Otherwise I just get so many spam signups on these things. So I usually put Cloudflare turnstile, which like works like 80% of the time, but then like 20% of the time people like real humans like fail to be able to subscribe. So I don't know how people usually handle this, but every time I don't put a spam blocker on my forms, like I get hammered with like my list gets polluted with spam.
So that thing I just ran into was a spam blocker?
Yeah, like under the hood there. Yeah, it happened again.
Oh, interesting.
Well,
like we got Ian Landsman in the chat here. I think he owns a big chunk of Cloudflare, so maybe he's got.
Maybe he can like make a call or something.
Okay, so for the business.
Okay, so like
you
step
got
1
this.
was like get the website up. One of my next things is working on that newsletter building app so that I can start actually sending weekly newsletters. So I'm probably several weeks away from that. I'm collecting information. Like I do want to set up the success page. So after you sign up, I want to show you a survey form.
Oh yeah.
To collect some information about who you are, what you're looking for, what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
and then it's thinking about what the first products are going to be. And I think that they're going to be the just-in-time learning courses.
Mm-hmm.
I think that these will be the first of a long lineup of small courses. So
Okay.
I'm thinking like in like the low hundreds
Yeah.
range for pricing on each one, something like $199.
Mm-hmm.
Just grab the one like I need to get up to speed on Claude Code. Let me grab Brian's Claude Code course and I can consume it in a week. You know?
Yes. Can I just give a shout out for short courses? I'm a fan of short courses.
Me too.
I'm a fan of short books.
Me too. Yeah.
It's just like the reason I love buying a Derek Sivers book is it's like I know I can buy it and read it in a day and feel like it was worth it, you know?
Do you remember? I don't think they still do it anymore. A List Apart used to have a book series.
Yeah, those books were great.
They were great, right? They're like small books, and like by design, you can just consume them in like an hour. And like, yes,
they're still for sale here.
Yeah, those are classics.
Shout out in the chat if you've ever read a List Apart book. These are. I'm sure it's not quite the business it used to be, but I think.
Yeah, but I think that's the idea with these courses. Anytime I ever buy a course, which is frankly not very often, but if I do, it's something that I really want to learn right now, and I'm not about to spend 3 months going through this course.
Yeah. You know what I think would be an interesting experiment for you is short course, $99, but then you can buy an additional package, which is just like 3 follow-ups with Brian via Clarity Flow. So
yeah, like, well, that's the next, like if you scroll down, like that's the coaching stuff. So this is going to be the higher ticket stuff down here.
Okay.
The first 2 items there, like I'm already offering now, like the coaching. So I'm thinking it'll be like you can buy one-off sessions, you can buy a package of multiple sessions, or if you're a team, like I'm working with a team this week, like, you know, there could be a structure for like consulting and coaching with your whole team or with your product team.
And I think that's a good idea, and especially if like you have it here, but in this checkout, I think like add-ons for courses is, and sometimes it's just even like my buddy does architectural drawings, and so he kind of has 2 prices. Basically, it's like you can just buy something off the shelf, or you can get the plans plus 3 follow-up meetings, and then he charges more for that.
Yeah.
And just having that in, like for certain courses, I'm sure it'd be like, and I might not even need a full one-on-one session, but if I could just send Brian 3 messages in Clarity Flow, then, you know.
Yeah, I mean, something like I think the courses there like are intended to be passive and like self-serve and like priced in a way that like I'm not offering my time. And then the ones down below are really going to be pretty exclusive. I'm not trying to book myself solid with a lot of clients.
Yeah.
And then another upsell would be like if over time, over the course of a year, if I produce multiple courses, then it could be like, all right, you can buy one, or you can pay this price and get them all, or get a package of multiple courses, you know?
Yeah.
Or it's like if you bought this course, then you might also want that course too, because they go hand in hand, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think that, all these plans will probably change as we go, but my thought is like the courses are like passive, like low hanging fruit. Let's just get those going in the short term. And then same thing with coaching. I'm sort of like learning and offering that to a few people. I think where like that cohort, like the group cohort thing, if I can do like a live, I don't know, like 8-week or 12-week thing where it's like a pop-up community for 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Me and 20 or 30 or 40 of us are getting together in a private chat, live sessions. We're building together, we're learning together, we're doing hot seats, and we're doing like demo days and stuff like that. I think that could be an interesting thing too. And that would be like a higher ticket, like, do it 3
Yeah.
times a year,
Do you feel like in terms of a lift and, the risk with anything is doing too much all at once. How do you feel about this in terms of getting this going in addition to Clarity Flow and
it's
instrumental components?
It's overwhelming. There's
Yeah.
a lot. I have to just pick it off piece by piece. Like I'm following the same playbook that I do on everything, which is I just put up this website today. This is sort of like my vision for what it could be in the future. But I'm just putting it on the page. Like none of this actually exists yet.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing is like, I just like to put up a page to say like, what if this business existed? Here's what it would look like. Right.
Yeah.
And collecting emails, get survey responses and start to learn. Right. So that's like step one. And then I was thinking also about the earliest days of audience ops.
Yeah.
Which for those who might not know, years ago, I started a productized service, Audience Ops, which was blog content as a service. I hired a whole team to write blog content for SaaS companies. On day one, I had no writers. I had nobody working on this. It was literally just an idea.
Yeah.
And I started selling it to clients, and I grew MRR for that business like right away.
Yeah.
And I remember like there's like a rule for myself, like I can't do this business if I'm going to be the one writing the articles.
Yeah.
And the parallel here is like I was trying to bite off a really hard problem.
Yes.
Like something that's like nobody does this because it's like way too hard and complicated and time consuming. And my thought was like, well, if I could figure out how to do this, by hiring a team and having really good systems and processes and positioning it in the right way, then that's a business that's like defensible, that offers value. And so I think this is a modern day version of that, where it's like there is a lot. I need to figure out how I can have this business where I'm producing a video every week, doing a newsletter every week, every month or so I'm coming out with a new course product. And like 3 times a year, I'm doing this cohort thing. Like how can I actually have the bandwidth to do that?
My sense is that, I think taking it, like, it feels like biting off even just getting a newsletter page up, landing page up, getting it out there, starting to get some signups, and then figuring out how and if you can do that. Is probably the first step, because if you, and I mean honestly, continuing to figure out if you've got a good channel for getting new subscribers. So if it's going to be YouTube, then okay, I'm going to get the newsletter up, then I'm going to mention it as the call to action in my video, and then we're going to see what happens. And
that's the funnel. It's like YouTube. Every video is going to talk about the newsletter. And that's the business, right?
And I wonder if you should get like 3 while you're waiting to get your system up. If you should get even just in the meantime, like 2 or 3 emails up in a drip sequence that would just publish every week for the people who sign up.
Yeah, like a evergreen thing.
Just an evergreen thing, idea. So you have something. You can turn it off later once you have a good cadence, but it'd be nice to get like email 1 is like maybe a manifesto, like things are changing, etc., and maybe a little like example of how the structure is going to look for the newsletter.
Yeah.
And then newsletter 2 could be, I've already got your survey, but I just want you to reply to 2 questions, human to human, like what is actually going on? Tell me about your process,
I do think that it's I do need something like that. It's like on the never-ending to-do list right now.
Yes.
Because it's true. Like right now, it's hard to do this. Like I was hoping to have my YouTube video recorded by today, this week. I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm going to have to record it tomorrow. And so but also like I have other things going on that hopefully will fade away as this new business replaces them, right?
Okay, like dig into that a bit. What do you mean by that?
So like right now I have like 2 consulting clients like outside of this, right?
Okay.
There's also Clarity Flow stuff happening.
Yeah.
You know, so like, and also like just the project of built this new website. Like this took me all week.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm not going to build this new website every single week, but like now that it's built, it's like I'm on to the next project, which is like getting the newsletter up and running.
Yeah.
So like there's always going to be these projects, but like, so like the main short-term goal of this is like get to a point where I have new product revenue coming in so that I just don't need to take any other consulting projects anymore.
Yeah.
You know? Like I have a few right now that are happening and a couple that are still going to continue into July and August. But you know, even those, it's like some of them I actively work on, some of them I hire someone to carry out, but I still need to like check in every day and do messaging with the client, messaging with my team on that. So there's just, you know, yeah, it's a lot of multitasking.
So right now your world is, I tried to like write it down. I think I got it. It's consulting is the main money maker. And then you got Clarity Flow.
It's interesting how these things are like, they're different sizes in terms of revenue and different sizes in terms of my time.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, let's see. Yeah, that's a good four blocks there. I would say if we start with revenue, I guess consulting would have to be number 1. Instrumental, I'd say consulting, instrumental is close to that in its first month, but that's not going to continue every month.
Okay.
Clarity Flow is probably like a $3 sign there, or two or three, 2.5. And then Builder Methods is
question mark.
I would say it's 1 because I have 1 coaching.
Oh yeah, you've already got a coaching client on it. Yeah. What about time?
Okay, so now in terms of time, it's like Builder Methods is like 90%.
What am I going to use for this?
Maybe
clock?
80%.
Okay, so Builder Methods is where you're investing most of your time.
80, yeah.
Okay, I'll just put 4 clocks.
Okay, 4. Let's do consulting is like 2 clocks.
Okay.
Clarity Flow is 1.
Oh wow.
And instrumental now it's like 1.
Okay. So you've shifted some of your time resources from these 2 over to here. I think some people are going to be wondering, with instrumental components, it's got 1 clock and $3 signs. If you gave it 2 or 3 clocks, could you keep it at $3 signs every month?
That's a good question to ask, and I think the answer is no.
Okay. Why is that? Just because
I don't think that I don't think that there is really what would that actually look like? That's like me choosing to create YouTube videos about Ruby on Rails, me flying out to Ruby conferences, going on Ruby podcasts. I don't know that all of that effort, which costs a lot up front, is going to actually result in selling more $300 licenses for instrumental components. And also like you have to think about the opportunity cost, because the only way to actually do that type of work, go to the conferences, do the YouTube videos about Rails, means I'm just not starting Builder Methods. There's no way.
Yeah.
You know?
I think this is the challenging thing about is like, I don't know what would we use, a shovel or something? Like how much shoveling time? So right now you're putting a lot of shoveling, like building foundational work into Builder Methods. And so the question is, you know, if you only have so many shovels, you put it into here, and that would look like probably what you're saying. Basically, what Caleb had that you didn't is he had like
huge audience,
which he built kind of for years just doing the shovel work for free. And so the question is, do you want to put in, to become a known personality in the Ruby on Rails space?
We're talking about years of full-time investment.
Yeah.
And no, like the answer is no. Like I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be the Caleb of the Ruby on Rails space. Like,
Although
I just don't see a path for that, to be honest.
The question might be, is with builder methods, is it going to require the same kind of investment?
The way I see it is I'm taking a much bigger swing with builder methods. And instrumental components, it started as a side project. I always intended it to be a side hustle. I never intended it for that to be a big swing.
Yeah.
And I don't expect it to be a big swing. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those things. I'm glad you're asking this question, because I think this is something that maybe I see differently from a lot of people, or I just operate or have different opinions about this. But like, I just like I'm in a place where I have to have all these things on the, what's the metaphor? Like these, I'm not going to kill any one of these four things right now. And I don't know, like the main bet is builder methods going forward.
Yeah.
The other thing about builder methods is that this is an audience-based business.
Yeah.
Right. And so I also came to the conclusion that, like, yes, I'm really excited and passionate about building with AI. Yes, I think it plays to my strengths with doing video content and teaching, which I've done before. Like I'm good with that. It gives me a chance to talk to my people that I really like to hang out with and talk to about stuff, like in terms of the target customer and audience. So all that's great, but there's also the added byproduct of just, if I'm investing in this business, the investment, the return on that investment is revenue, but it's also audience. Like literally already, just from doing a couple of these last YouTube videos, I have new leads for consulting. Yeah. Like I literally just had a sales call yesterday with somebody who only found me through the YouTube videos that I happen to have been doing. Yeah. So it's just like more exposure and brings more opportunities. Like I've already had multiple people reach out about sponsorship opportunities for my YouTube channel, which I'm not doing yet, but I will at some point. Like it's like investing in an audience-based thing is going to have multiples of benefits going forward if I have the time and commitment to it for the rest of the year and onward, right?
I think, I mean,
that's where, like, compared to something like, let's say, Clarity Flow or any other SaaS product, if I'm saying, like, I'm going all in on this SaaS product, and then I have to, like, hack around and try to find some marketing channel that's going to bring people to that, like, it's not like actually investing in something that can grow exponentially through growing an audience, like methods can,
It's also just interesting visualizing this here. Like, it feels like we could actually even maybe like if there was a legend, you might have like, I only have this many clocks and this many. So clocks is time investment. And I guess the shovels we said kind of represents that foundational work you have to do before a business starts earning revenue.
And also, like, I should mention, like, one of the other goals of builder methods is to eliminate the consulting block.
Yes.
Like if things go, if I can make builder methods work as a business, then that creates more clocks.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and it really is, when you've got kind of multiple bets going, it's like you're moving time energy between these. You've got to invest your time in these different blocks. And then I really like that we pulled out this, like, idea of, like, foundational shovel work you have to do before something. And there are just certain businesses that, for example, like, there would be certain businesses, it would be easier for me to launch now because I've done 2 decades of foundational shovel work, as opposed to like if I was going to become an AI influencer person, I would have to do a lot right now as kind of foundational, like to get my name out, to get people thinking like Justin equals AI guy in this niche or whatever.
The other thing is like Clarity, like the clock icon there on Clarity Flow can also go away in a matter of months. If I have one full-time developer on it.
Yeah.
And I had a customer support person on it. As soon as I grow revenue from these from builder methods, then I'll probably hire a customer support person again, and like then answering emails every week to Clarity Flow customers gets off my plate, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the other thing is like if Clarity Flow does feel like a good fit for builder methods. It feels like you could use it. I don't think a lot of people have seen it in practice, but like I think I can show this. There's I'll just show a quick screen. But I used it for in this case to have people record their first run experience of signing up for Transistor. So I sent out a link and said, hey, you know, here's the first run of like you record your experience, you record your screen, you narrate it. Found it really good for like UX. And then it has all these
like, used it for one of the worst use cases in that I learned in the early days of Zip Message, right? Like you used it for what I hoped Zip Message would be.
Yes, I learned that
there was just no product market fit in that direction, and I ended up going to coaches. So.
And then you also have this great like intake thing where you can have people send us a message, like in this case for the panel, and we've had people send us audio and video messages through this as well.
Yeah, we actually don't. So that again, like this gets into like pulling into the story of Clarity Flow, but like in the early years, it was like I thought that what you're showing there was going to be the use case for this product.
Mm-hmm.
And most people canceled because they're like, well, nobody submits my intake form.
Yeah.
Or they're like, we thought we would use it for customer support. Our customers don't want to use it for customer support. And so the big learning was coaches have these paid engagements with their clients, and they have these like close relationships. And then when that relationship is there, then they're much more willing to use and like engage in a tool like this. And that's why we shifted to coaches and made it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do like this kind of idea of resources. I can't remember that, who had this idea of you only have so many points to it, like in like RPGs and stuff, you can only assign your character so many points for different things. And, I can't remember who said this, but they were saying like, you know, you can assign some resources to the family bucket and your exercise bucket. And then, and it's like this idea that we only have finite resources.
Very true. I also find that same pattern with creative energy. And that's another big challenge of this whole Venn diagram is managing my energy.
Yeah.
And even if I have the hours to spare, like even if I can put in X number of hours to do things, like what quality are those hours, right? Like,
yeah. How would you quantify that right now? Like in terms of, if you were going to have it in terms of like passion, like how would you quantify passion for each of these?
Passion.
Like how excited are you about each?
Well, I wouldn't like use an emoji, but if I just had to like rank them, you know, builder methods number 1, I guess instrumental components 2, Clarity Flow 3, consulting 4.
Okay.
But the let's see, what was I going to say? Like on a day when I'm recording a YouTube video, like that's the day.
That's your that's your best day?
No, that's like it's just like wipes me out in terms of energy.
Got it.
Like I use so much energy to write the script, to do the on-camera recording, and then do the edit. That like I might do a few emails in that day, but like I'm not going to get any other like big rocks done that day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is a question though of like does that stuff give you energy? So you've said you're wiped out, but does it give you energy in the sense that you're like pumped up? And like for me, a day that I write a blog post or record a video or record a podcast, I'm pumped that day. That's like a good day. That gets like I don't know what I would give it, like a battery score or something. Like high battery, I come home like I might be drained in the sense that, oh, I took some effort, but it's like it's high battery day in the same way that I get pumped up when I'm in a social situation and like at a party or something. Yeah. High battery for me.
It's funny how like my batteries are like the opposites. You know, I've thought about this too. So I think that for me it would be builder days. So the days where I am building software, designing and building software.
Yeah.
So even like this project, like working on this website builder methods, like I spent a ridiculous amount of time like picking colors and fonts and like getting the responsive breakpoints just right. And like, so that I like getting deep into design mode. I like to build like full applications. Like the upcoming days and weeks of building that newsletter builder app that I talked about, like I'm going to love the project of building that. Like,
yes.
If I can come in here every day and just work on that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But like from a business standpoint, I don't have a SaaS product that can justify me spending full days, 40 hours a week, just building software. Like that doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason why if I can make the builder methods business work, it's a way to have, call it like roughly half my week doing these like days where I'm just tinkering and building and designing and taking my learnings and the byproducts of those days and spending another 2 days turning that into YouTube content, newsletter content, you know, and then actual paid courses. That's the ideal mix, I think, because I do like the content creation. I do like the YouTube stuff. It's very draining, but I like the creativity of delivering and copywriting a script and like that. I'm into that.
Yeah.
And
but it sounds like you really like if you could, I mean, we could add another square here for that little newsletter thing that you're going to build. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that will be sort of like, my thought is like, I'm definitely building it for my own use first. This will probably be the first of many small apps that spin out of builder methods, like actual products that other people could use.
Yeah.
But right now the goal for that is to meet my need of doing a weekly newsletter, but I'm definitely going to be building it like a potential product.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not making a big bet on like, this is going to be my next big SaaS.
Yeah.
But I do think that like a business where I'm always building new small apps and showing them, like that's going to spin off products, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing that's challenging about this stage is like the way I'm thinking about it in my head is like if we just cleared this off and just to think like, let's make this green.
This is like the most fun podcast I've ever done. Like, talking about stuff and like Justin illustrating it in real time.
I love this TL draw tool. It's awesome. It feels like bootstrappers, you always have to have like this foundation of money, like something's making you money. So like for Adam Wathan and Steve Shoger, it was the refactoring UI course. So that's just spitting out money. And then off of that, they're trying things. They're taking swings. So it's like, okay, here we're going to take a swing on, I don't know, our SaaS app. And then we're going to take another swing. Oh, that didn't really work out. We'll take another swing on this. And then somewhere along the line, they took this swing well, in this case, it was a SaaS app, but what grew out of that was Tailwind. So it's like, oh, we took this swing, but this is the one that really kind of worked.
Yep.
And I think the challenge for bootstrappers is always like, you need to keep this money foundation going. And then that gives you the freedom to, whenever you get a moment, to invest some of your time and energy in some swings. But until something really kind of takes off, yes, it can feel like you're just like swinging.
It's a grind. I think that, look, the thing with like Adam Watt, like Talent or any of the, like, these are exceptions. And the reality is, for most people who are trying to bootstrap something, where those dollar signs are going to come from are either a job or freelancing consulting for a while, until you can like squeeze that out in favor of product. And the other pattern I've seen in my own life, but also from so many other people who've made that transition from job or freelancing to products, is at some point you need to just make the decision, like, I'm going to earn less this year. I'm going to take a pay cut because I'm going to invest in something new. That means I'm going to do a whole lot of work for free for a while. Because like software developers are used to getting paid, high pay rates for what they do. But if you're going to build a software product, you also need to be willing to put in those same hours and do it for free until you can grow your revenue.
Yeah.
The hack that I found years ago was productized services. Which was not like passive. Like, it took a good two or 3 years to like really get the systems and the team dialed in on audience ops. But it did literally get to a point that, to me, like, this was like one of my favorite past periods of my career, was like 2017 through 2021, I would say.
Okay. Yeah.
But up until I sold it, because I launched it in 2015, but by 2017 it was automated. Team of 25 writers, like client managers, assistants. It got to a point where I literally touched that business like an hour a month.
Yeah.
And it was making high 5 figures MRR, and not huge, right? But more than enough in terms of like profit, and it funded years of me tinkering on Ruby on Rails and trying to launch SaaS products, but like I had full-time hours thanks to having that business in place.
Do you feel like Builder Methods could be that? So one thing that Matt Medeiros said here is, honestly, the only product I want from Brian is a course on hiring VAs and outsourcing work. So, like, it was
called the Productized course.
And did you sell that too?
I did.
So now you're out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if I think there is obviously always,
the game is not hiring VAs anymore. The game is hiring agents.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe that's the next thing.
There was a website that taught you how to build stuff with AI.
Buildermethods.com. Yeah, I think, like, there's some folks like Ian Landsman, for example, who I think they're like, you're leaving this one too quick. Instrumental components. Like, is there more
juice? I talk about it on a podcast does not mean I'm all in on it.
But so, because you've made over $20,000 on it, right?
No, a little bit less.
A little bit less than 20.
It was like right now it's up to like something like 13.
Okay, and so you feel like in order to get this to like really be sustainable, it would just take a lot more shovels, a lot more.
Yeah, but it's also not just about the trajectory of the revenue graph. It's also just looking at the world in front of me and saying, I don't think there's going to be more developers choosing to learn how to write code in Ruby by hand.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see that as a growing space.
Yeah.
Like
if you had to rebuild this, you might have like maybe you wouldn't have built it at all because you just feel like the landscape has shifted so much.
Yeah. If today was, if we're in June 2025 and I have not built instrumental components,
yeah,
and I'm looking around for what is my next business going to be, I'm not choosing to build a components library for Ruby on Rails today.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I wonder what people think about that. Like, is there?
Look, I got to be clear about this because people really hear things come through podcast speakers, and they sound different than the reality. The reality is, I'm happy with instrumental components.
Yeah.
Like it achieved my personal goal for it, which was like, number one, build a tool that I want to use every day with Rails.
Yeah.
Number two, just get my building and shipping muscles back into play. This was the first paid product that I launched in 5 years since I launched Clarity Flow. Just get me back in the game. That's all this was for me.
Yeah.
And it's a product that is live. It's out in the world. I hope people love it. The customers who did buy it seem to really like it. I'm going to continue to answer questions about it and add a component here and there when I can pull off a byproduct of my own work. I can run a Black Friday sale on it, but it's not something to go all in on. I never intended it to be that. You know?
We should also mention that you did change the pricing. So now it's a single purchase pricing.
Yep.
Yeah. So
which also removes my obligation to you're not subscribing with the expectation that I'm going to be delivering new components every single month, you know?
Yeah, I think that's about right. Like, it is an aspirational product. Like, people are like, I'm going to build a project in Rails. I'm going to use that. I need a UI library. I think did I see Dave Junta is back in here? You know, I think he's trying out different ideas right now, and maybe this is exactly the kind of, he's a Rails guy. He might want to pull something like this in and build something. But the question is, how many Juntas are there? Like, how many people right now are like, I'm looking to build a brand new project in Rails where I'm handwriting all the code?
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I still think it's a great product. I used it to build the Builder Methods app. Site, you know, which is a Rails app. Like, I'm using it. I still use it. It's great. Like, but like where the world is going and what I think the market is going and what I really want to build and what I see as a much bigger swing is something like this. You know?
Yeah. And there is something with like response of like, cause you're putting out these videos and like this Vibe Coding Goes Pro video has 43,000 views. And there is something about that feeling of like, okay, this thing here is really kind of, this feels like momentum. And, you know, maybe like how to build Rails apps fast has 915 views. So it could feel like.
And the interesting thing is that, like, yeah, those are much lower views, but a lot of the buyers for instrumental components came from those.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have like some, like, it's just a trickle. It's just like the few people in the world who are still on YouTube watching Rails videos.
Yeah.
A lot of them are going to find my stuff, and that leads them to instrumental components, and that's a portion of that pie of the product revenue. You know.
I think I just saw somebody was looking at a Google Trends graph of like Rails, and it's always hard to figure out how to interpret those. Like, how many active Rails developers are there in the world right now? And, you know, is it growing?
I've looked at those surveys. I really don't know where the data comes from, but like both Rails and Laravel are pretty far down on the list. Like,
yeah.
I think Rails is something like I forgot the survey that I saw, but I usually see them like 40th is like the 40th most like popular framework, and then of course like React is at the top, and like Next.js is near the top. You know, and there's different sectors, right? It's like what's enterprise using, and what's what are indie hackers using, and what are but
yeah, I mean, if you compare anything to React right now, I think most people will admit that React has won. Like they are the big dog, I think is what Ian said.
I mean, I'm sure PHP Laravel is higher up on the ladder than like Rails, and more momentum and growth probably than Rails, but like compare it to JavaScript world, it's like
yeah. That is kind of the question though, is Rails dying, or is it just less popular when compared to a juggernaut like React?
I wouldn't say it's dying, but I do think that there are some trends in the Rails world that I find a little troubling in terms of like what really is the future of this.
Yeah.
If you play things out just a few years down the line, like what I'm seeing are it seems like Rails developers are probably a little bit less likely to be excited about building with AI. They're a little bit more set in their ways. They just love writing Ruby, and I get it. I write it. I love it too. The other thing is like I am a fan of DHH and Jason Fried and their philosophy on most things, but I think there are some directional things from DHH that are just not aligned where things are going. Like
especially like the JavaScript React story and not embracing it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. We're gonna wind things down here, but yeah, in chat, if folks have any thoughts about that, I do think I really like this. And for folks that are listening to the audio version, I'll drop a link to this illustration I made here while we were talking. But there's something about this that I just trying to quantify. You know, how much revenue is each thing earning?
How do we remove most of these emojis?
Oh yeah, as a designer, you're probably like whatever.
More dollar sign emojis, less shovel.
Yeah. So how can we remove the time and then trying to quantify the
also
actual
the batteries. We like the batteries.
Yeah, the batteries are good. And then what was the other one I was thinking about as we were talking? I think there's also, as you're looking at bets, if you're thinking about all of these as bets, there is also I
want to turn this question on you, by the way. I don't want this to be all about me.
Well, maybe we're going a little bit long, but maybe next week we'll turn it back on me, because now we've got a framework. The other thing is, how could you quantify opportunities and threats for each of these, like moving forward? And so part of you is like, well, instrumental components, like if we're still making bets, but you're still always looking at your cards going, what are the chances that this hand can beat, the other hands? And if you don't feel like it's a good hand, you got to fold. But sometimes
that's another thing that I like. People like if you're not all in on it, you have to kill it. Like I don't agree. No, like, it's fine to have a small side project that is passive. Like that's look, people are buying instrumental components, and I'm not doing any work to make that sale today. It's passive.
Yeah,
and that's a beautiful thing. But I just don't see a growth opportunity.
I mean, I can completely identify with this, because if you go to dev marketing, oh no, not dev marketing. What is it? Marketing for developer? I don't even know the I don't even know the dev marketing.xyz. Is that the domain? This course, which I released in 2015, Marketing for Developers, it's still like you can still buy it. It's still for sale. It still makes a sale every once in a while.
Nice.
But
isn't that great? Like, especially when it's like an old product that you really haven't touched in a while, and people are still finding it.
Yeah.
And getting value from it. Like I had products like that for years. Like the productized course was that for a long time for me. Before that, I had a couple other info products that like I go hard for a couple months to create it.
Yeah.
And then it is a passive product,
And if
builder methods, I don't see as like a passive business. Like I'm trying to again take a bigger swing and really build something more substantial here. Like,
yeah,
and I'm going to be active on it for a long time, I think.
yes.
It might take a different form, might go in different directions, but this is where I think the opportunity is. You know?
Well, I think I can also just identify with that feeling of, like, why did I move on from this? Well, clearly at some point I felt like this is just not like I gave it a good go, but this is not going to be the thing that carries me forward. And then, I wrote a blog post about it in 2018, but like when I stopped working on this, it was my book and course revenue was this Nathan's or, oh yeah, this is Nathan's, but mine was probably, it was maybe $250,000 or something at its peak. Oh yeah, here we go. It's just under $200,000 in 2017. But I just realized, like, to keep pushing this, it's going to have diminishing returns. And
yeah, because I think again, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, you could look at the graph and that could tell you one thing, but like you also have to just look at the world.
Yeah.
And
what I had to do to get sales. I love
your writing on this. You've talked about this forever. Is like the time. It really is about timing and the wave and the momentum. Like,
yeah.
And it's something that I notice again and again with friends who have these like hit businesses. Like, yes, the longevity, you can have a lot of success with that, just focusing on one thing for decades, like, of course, but just getting through the first year, you have to have some momentum. And the people who have momentum find that momentum despite the shortcomings, despite like having things half built and it's a little rough. It's because there's demand,
Yeah. Yeah. It is hard. Like sometimes you could make a mistake. You could be, if we were going to quantify like waves, you could say like with marketing for developers, I definitely felt like it was I could see the wave went up and then it was going down and then I got it to go up again. And then I was like, I just can't, like, to maintain that, I could just tell this wave's going down. Like I can't keep going with this particular product unless I invest a bunch more time in it, go back to builder mode, rebuild it, relaunch it again. And I had relaunched, I think I ended up like relaunching it 3 or 4 times.
I really do. I know we're long, we can cover it next time, but like for someone like you who has a well-established SaaS business, of course, like you're not in the mode in your career of like sort of taking bets and exploring new opportunities. Like maybe within Transistor you are, but like you're not looking for a new business to start and to shift your emojis around the canvas, right? Like but again, like I guess for you it's probably all within Transistor, but like I don't have a Transistor, so that's why you do see me shift from instrumental components to like, all right, here's the bigger thing, like because I don't have a steady thing anymore, So,
yeah. Although I'm still thinking in some ways, like there's still always that thought of like, you got to keep some irons hot. And so, within Transistor, we've got other bets that we're making,
right?
Because there's still opportunities and threats that we got to, I think most SaaS businesses, the wave goes like this, and maybe then gradually goes down. Some like the Buffer story is interesting. They had this big peak,
and then it'd be like a podcast illustrator,
and then it went down, and then they got it to go back up again. So usually when you're on the way down, that's the end. Like you're just like, okay, I'm gone. But Buffer, the social media app, they peaked and then they were going down. They were somehow able to reverse it, and now they've exceeded their previous peak.
Yeah.
And that's very
Stack
interesting
Overflow,
to me.
That's a different story.
Yes, that was one thing we had that we didn't get a chance to talk about is this article here. Highly recommend people look at this, but yeah, they talk about like Chegg and their decline in an AI world, and Stack Overflow, their decline. Mm-hmm. Placing bets, you've got, and this is where we need Ian at some point. Well, maybe I'll have him back. is I'm not a very good poker player, but there is something about placing bets that's interesting to me. Like you're dealt every project, you try is you get dealt some cards, and you're basically like, does this, does my pair here, is this enough to produce a good business?
Yeah.
And those are hard decisions to make.
Really hard. And like, you gotta learn to trust your gut. It's something that I've struggled with a lot in recent years. Like when I talked about how like I had a good thing going there during the audience ops years, and then I don't in the years that followed, because things just took different turns, and like that fucked with my confidence on like making those bets.
Yeah.
And it really makes you second guess every single bet, like to a fault, where it's like that's why it took me 5 years to even launch a new product with instrumental components. It's because I couldn't actually pull the trigger on anything, because I couldn't like give myself permission to say like, I think there's something there, I'm going to go build it and sell it. And everything was like, I need 110% proof that this is going to be a good idea, otherwise I'm not going to start building.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you just got to be like, look, I'm looking at the world. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm going personally. This is where the market is going.
Yeah.
Let's just go.
Yeah. You got to follow your gut. I think that is definitely true. Which is a great thing about podcasting, is we get to talk about things out loud and then get the feedback.
I found your next business, by the way.
What's that?
It's Podcast Illustrator as a service. So people like running a podcast or video podcast that you just have Justin on. He doesn't even have to be a guest. Just illustrating what you're talking about.
I'm the Bob Ross of podcast illustration.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're gonna wind it down. Thanks, Brian. It was good and congrats, buildermethods.com. You can sign up. I just did. Go there right now, everybody.
And next episode will be all about Justin and not me.
Next episode, we're gonna use that same. I really like this little framework we built here. I think we could translate this into my world and move resources around and make it fun. Also, want to give a shout out to everybody here in the chat. We got Happy Little Shovels, Anthony McCloskey. Got Matt Durr, Dave Junta.
You're so much better at like tracking. Like every time I look over at the chat, I'm like, there's way too much going on. I can't. I can't right now.
Francis Boyle. I must have some form of high functioning ADHD. We've got Emmett here. We've got Eric Barnes. There's a Laravel superstar. Ryan Hefner, Zach Gilbert. Who else did we say? Corey Griffin is back. Matt Medeiros. Good to see him here.
Yeah.
Chris Cottam, Ian Landsman. Hello. Thanks
Don't you people have work to do? What's going on?
No, this is great. This is exactly where you folks should be. We're taking a break next week, but I think July 3rd. I think we could be back July 3rd. You got anything going July 3rd?
I'm just away next week, and then I'm back.
All right. Thursday, July 3rd, same time, same place. See y'all then.
All right. Later,
bye.
folks.
Oh, I don't want to end our session. I just